Hi, this is Marlene with Miami Ghost Chronicles, and I want to welcome you to another episode of Stories of the Supernatural. Wherever you find us, whether it's a video or podcast on your favorite platform, please like and subscribe to us so that you can get notification of when a new show is released. You can also find us on major social media platforms. If you go to miamighostchronicles.com, you can find links to the videos or MP3 files, which you can download and enjoy without commercial interruptions. If you're into classic horror, ghost, and adventure stories, I narrate Nightshade Diary, and you can find links at nightshadediary.com. If scary stories are your bag, and listening to encounters with cryptids, ghosts, dogmen, and other weird creatures sends a shiver up your spine, then go to supernaturalstorytime.com for links to our weekly podcasts. Noteworthy news about the paranormal world, true crime, conspiracy stories, and anything that is just plain weird can be found at eerie.news or visit the Stranger Than Fiction Stories tab at miamighostchronicles.com. Please subscribe to my newsletter on Substack. Just go to mppellicer.com for a link. I want to thank you for being part of my audience, and I think you are all wonderful. Hi, everybody. How's everybody doing? Good. I'm good. All right. It's kind of stormy outside today, so hopefully the power won't fluctuate, even though I got a generator as a backup. But still, if it hiccups, but don't worry, I will not lose you guys. And if I do, I will come back, whatever the case might be. So, it's one of those deals. Yeah. Thunderstorms in Florida. That's very common now in the summer. But up here in North Florida, believe it or not, when I was in South Florida, even when thunderstorms rolled in, even when the sun was going down, it would stay really warm and humid. Out here in North Florida, you can feel the temperature drop literally on your skin. I don't even have to look at the weather or anything. You go outside and you feel the temperature drop. So, yeah, that's one of the good things. Yeah, rain, thunderstorms, and temperature drop. Anyway, guys, let's get on to the good part. Okay, the good part is who I have as a guest today here at Stories of the Supernatural. This is the first time this gentleman's been with us. His name is Bubba Dumass, and he entered this world to explore many levels of the human experience. His entry point started in the state of Texas. After many challenges conquered and after dying numerous times, he settled in the state of California on 10 acres of land. This is where his physical body became his sole focus and mastery. Baba studied under the scientist Masaru Emoto. I'm thinking that's how we pronounce it. That was when the unfoldment took place in a higher understanding of the human power and its relations to water. Baba collected the old paradigm knowledge and moved it into a higher level of understanding, bringing this consciousness and the effects with water to a new paradigm for us to partake in. In other words, he created a simplistic way for our understanding, an important factor in the shift of self. Baba took Emoto's concepts and teachings a step further. He wants to show you how you can talk to the water within you by using your words and music, a discovery of a wonderful tool that has always existed within each and every one of us. After 6 death experiences, Baba has a newfound understanding of life and our ability to create a new life within us. He holds a level of appreciation for all living things, mainly for trees and the earth. His purpose will be in his shared words unto this world and why relationship with it is so important to our lasting lives. Baba is one of 2 people that have grown his fingers back after having them cut off. Not only will he share his secrets on how, he will show you the power you hold within yourself by examples and most of all with love. Help me welcome him. How are you doing today, Baba?
Oh, I've been surrounded by death for the last couple of weeks. These lovely things we call humans go out and kick their animals out in the desert, and some of them do it to eat, but these dogs have showed up with the itch to kill, and that's
Yeah.
all they're doing is killing.
What have you got for like
So
feral
I've been
dogs
out,
out there?
yeah, well, I've been going out and helping this widow woman that's losing all her animals to the feral dogs. So
Mm-hmm.
and she won't let me disperse of it like it needs to be dispersed of.
Okay.
So we've been doing different things, and but I've been a grave digger for lots of animals this week.
So, okay. All right, this is what what about how many are in the pack out there that are doing this?
The best I can tell from tracking them is there's five.
Really? Okay, that's enough. That'll do a lot
Yeah.
of damage. Are they bigger dogs or what?
From husky size to German Shepherd size. Yeah.
That's big enough. Yeah, sure. Yep.
Yeah.
It's incredible, we think, but these animals, well, they're animals to begin with, but even if the breeds have been domesticized, they will go back to their feral, like wolf-like ways really quick when they're facing how do you call it? Survival? Yeah.
Yeah, but
And
these are not in survival mode. They're killing. They're not
let me ask.
killing to eat. They're killing to kill.
Oh, okay. My mistake.
Just
I
like
know what
some
you mean.
humans do that. They're killing to kill.
Okay, so in other words,
They're not hungry. They're
they're not
killing for
hungry.
the
Okay.
thrill.
Do they have any owners or
They're
they're just out
killing for
there?
the thrill.
That's a bad thing.
No, they're out running in the desert. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a bad thing. If they're
So,
doing that, yeah, okay, so much for the survival theory then. Let me ask
yeah.
I'm gonna let me ask you, well, in the bio, and we talked very, very shortly before we started to record that you had died 6 times, and I was asking you, "Well, what happened, Bubba? Were you what is it, wrong place, wrong time?" And you
Well,
started
several
telling me
things.
something that was kinda disturbing, but go ahead.
No, the first time was my mother hung me by the neck with a coat hanger when I was 3.5 or 4.
Oh, oh my god, that's what you were saying, and that's like, I
Well, I've been the old ladies used to tell me how gifted I was, and I don't know. I've talked to spirits pretty much all my life, and that upset my parents, who were both druggies and drug addicts,
I
and
was
it
about
made
to
them
say,
look
"Please tell me
bad.
your mom wa" I don't think any person in their right mind could do that to a child. I mean, that's why I'm thinking
Well,
I'm gonna blame it then
I
on
wouldn't
drugs
go
then?
so far as to say that. I'm watching
Well,
these people out here now trading their children for cell phones.
I know
So
that's horrible. Let me ask you,
the psyche of the world is gone nuts.
I know, but,
They're not grounded.
I'll tell you what, I'm gonna put it in the normie box. I know that has wide parameters. I know. And, you've got the outliers there, but norm I'm gonna say,
Okay, here's the
when
thing. 90%,
uh,
90% of the humans
okay.
on this planet are not grounded. They have insulation between their feet and the earth.
Yes,
And
I
if
know.
you're not grounded, if you're
Mhm.
not grounded, you're not
Yes.
getting your full signal.
Yeah, I know. I know
I
that
don't
it's
care who you
important
are.
to get. No, I think it's important to get grounded. Um, and I know sometimes, depending on where you live or where you're at, let's face it, we're all into wearing shoes all the time and not even going barefoot to
Well,
ground yourself. But I'm gonna go back to what you were
they
telling
just
me
took
with your
the natural products off the feet when they quit putting leather soles on.
right, right. Well, most everything now, is plastic or rubber or something like that at the very least, or synthetic, um, leather or whatever. But
Right.
let me ask you, let's go back. This thing with your mom. Okay, so
Yeah.
you're a child and you're telling me you're growing up what sounds like kind of like a very difficult childhood.
We was just as dysfunctional as dysfunction gets.
Okay. All right. Okay. You used the D word, okay? I would say I was going with difficult, but you took it there to dysfunctional. All right. And so let me ask you,
Well, that's the truth.
um, you died when you were 4 years old, and who saved you or what happened?
I just remember falling to the floor
Mm-hmm.
and being picked up and carried to the bed, and I woke up in the bed. How that
Okay.
happened, I don't know.
All right.
I don't know. The next time I was in a head on collision at 55 miles an hour, I remember sitting in the car, head on
Mm-hmm.
impact, and then I come to, I'm standing outside the car,
How
standing
old were
on the
you then?
side of the road.
Were you driving or were you a
Um,
passenger?
I was a passenger. I
And
was
how old were you?
12, 13, 12 or
Okay.
13.
Okay. So here you are and head-on collision. And I'm not surprised that you may be blacked out. I don't know, depending on how the severity. So between the collision, you find
But I
yourself
there
standing
there
outside.
was not I had no scratches. None. No bruises. Nothing.
Let me ask. I'm going to ask you the
And a head-on
question.
collision.
I don't did well. Um, I don't know. Maybe yeah, yeah. You.
That's the cops were amazed.
I bet. I bet. Sometimes you see people that die in the easiest way, and then you have others that exactly like what you said. They walk away from accidents that the police are just can't figure it out. Did you have? And I know this is
Well,
you were still basically a child because to me, a 13-year child. Did you have the prototypical near death experience? The tunnel. None of that, right? Or what happened?
no, no.
Okay.
I don't remember any of that. None of
Okay.
that.
None of that.
The third or fourth time, the third or
Mm-hmm.
fourth time I was in a semi, and the guy that was driving the truck went to sleep behind the steering wheel, rolled us over. And
Oh.
that time, I remember seeing the life review. I was sitting beside myself at a table
Mm-hmm.
in a 360-degree panorama, watching everything that I had less than desirable go on in my life. You
Okay.
know, how I treated people and how it made them feel and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Typical death experience.
And how old were you then?
But did I see a savior? Did I see? No.
So you did like a
Every
life
time I
review, in other
remember
words.
having a life review, yes,
Mm-hmm.
I've done that 3 times. And there was never anybody there but me. Me and me.
Okay.
There was no God,
So
there was no savior. There was me and me.
so let me
Every
ask you
time I spoke, I was looking at me.
oh, that's a saying everywhere you go, there you are. But let me
Yeah.
ask you, when you were seeing that review, were you
Yes.
experiencing well, and like you
Every bit
said
of
it, it's
pain
the
I caused.
there you go. That's the question I was going to. It wasn't just reviewing it, it
Every
was
bit of pain I
okay.
caused, I felt it.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
felt what it made the other person. I felt what that animal felt. I felt all of that.
Okay.
That's a
Yeah,
powerful motivator.
you better believe it is. Yeah.
Very
That
powerful
is
motivator.
yeah. I mean, as far as understanding the effect that we have, like you said, to other human beings or to animals or whatever. So, how old were you then? On number three, on that third.
I can't even remember.
Okay, so
I can't even remember. It's
okay,
like I had four and just bam, 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 bam. And the last one was the most memorable
which was
because I was attempting to kill the pain in my body.
okay.
And I had access to pharmaceuticals out the wazoo. The
Mm-hmm.
pharmaceuticals weren't working. And when
Okay.
you add alcohol on top of that,
Okay.
it has a profound effect on a person's body.
True.
But I just
Hey, you
flipped
guys,
out.
be quiet. I'm
I
sorry. Go
flipped
ahead. My
out.
audience knows I have dogs, so don't worry. So, in other words, when you say, let me ask you this: when you say the pain in your body is it just physical pain, or was there any like spiritual pain? How's that mixed in
No,
there?
it was all physical. I had
Okay.
at that point I had 7 herniated discs, 3 fused discs, and
Oh,
various other things going on in my body. I was
okay.
kind of an adrenaline junkie.
You think? All right. No, I would never I would never have guessed it. So you were like kind of an unofficial Evil Knievel kind of person, is that it?
Well, no, it was just when I played hard, I played crazy. You know, it's
Well,
just one of them things.
I know, I know. What I
And
meant is that I'm sure you were like, yeah, I can
well,
imagine that.
I've had been on drilling rigs and been knocked off the floor of drilling rigs and fall 36 feet. And there's various things in construction that you do that they have safety equipment for now. They didn't then.
Right,
And you just went to the doctor and they gave you pills and you went on about your business.
right.
So
So what
I
happened
know
this
the last
last
time
time?
I overdosed. I
Okay, and
literally overdosed.
did you have that review again or what happened?
Yes, I did. And the most memorable part of the last one was when I got back in my body. I woke up in the hospital room,
Mhm.
and the room was the brightest white light. And there was no windows in the room. There was no way this light could get in there. And it was the
Mhm.
brightest white light. And the voice
Okay.
said, "You're not finished here yet." And as the door to the room cracked open, a metal door, a clank like going to jail,
Mhm.
slammed, and the light went out. And the nurse
Okay.
said, "Oh my God, you're alive."
Oh, so
But the voice said, "You're not finished here yet."
yeah, like you're not going.
And that
Let
was
me. So
June. I woke up that day, June the 26th at 7:10 a.m., 1994.
you're coming up on an anniversary then.
I'm about to celebrate an anniversary of that, or
Yep.
a birthday.
Yeah. You want to look at it that way? Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. And
So, and
so
since
this time you
then,
actually heard
life's been a
something. There
little
was something
different.
outside of yourself then. There was when
Oh,
you heard
yes.
that voice. Okay.
Said,
And
"You're not finished here yet."
so what happened, Bubba, when this last thing that you actually basically heard something outside of yourself and you had that review and they kind of like said, you know, you're not done. What
I
changed
went
to
on a search, I went on a quest, an
okay,
information quest. I had to find out what that voice was.
okay,
And I studied religions, I've studied this, I've studied that. I cannot get enough information. That's one big thing. I read 7 to 10 books a week still to this day.
okay,
I cannot get enough information. What it was, what it is, it's the one point, the one. You've heard of the book, The Law of One.
yes,
The one is my guide. The one is filling my head full of information that is pertinent so we can make it through this transition. But it's a
okay,
choice. You have
sure.
to choose to make it through this transition.
Well, which is always one of the things you hear about as freedom or choice. We have that choice, like you said,
Well, they
one
call it
way or the
free
other.
will. It's not, it's free choice.
Okay.
It's not free will, it's free choice.
So let me ask you, when you started going on this quest, was it one of those things that, you know, when you find something out, another door opens and takes you in another direction, or how did that
Oh,
work out
yeah.
as you were
Going
okay.
down the rabbit holes.
All right.
Went to religion first, and,
Mhm.
Southern Baptists are nuts. And then you go study another one and another one and another one. And then you figure out that they're all been manipulated. They've all
Okay.
been lies until you
Okay.
go back to and you stumble into the Sumerian tablets. And once you
Okay.
stumble into the Sumerian tablets, you can see where all the stories came from and how
Mhm.
they were manipulated. And then you go on the quest on who manipulated
Okay.
them. And that takes you back to Khazaria.
All right. Yes, no,
So,
I'm following you there.
you
I
know,
and you always hear that, you know, we're talking here ancient civilizations or BC, before the birth of Christ, or Judeo-Christian, and you know, in some cases you hear where they had religious practices or characters that are very similar to Christian things. And by this, I'm not discounting. I'm on the contrary, but not many people go through that level of research. How's that? Um,
well,
and what happened when is when?
some spend their whole life stuck in that.
Sure,
I said,
right.
okay, I know where all this has been manipulated from. Now,
Hmm.
what is the main theme through all of it? That's where I
Okay,
went. What is the main theme through all of it?
all right.
Water. Water's
And
the
what
main
happened?
theme. Nothing lives without water. And
Okay,
then Masaru Emoto was put into my purview,
all right.
Japanese scientist.
Yes.
And then after he passed, a Russian hypnotist was put in my path. His name was
Okay,
Dmitry Petrov,
all
and
right.
he's been scrubbed from the interwebs. He was Vladimir Putin's doctor slash hypnotist,
Hmm.
It was personal physician.
Okay.
And Vladimir Putin thought so much of what he was doing that he built him his own healing centers, like seven of them in Russia.
Okay.
But he was
Okay.
taking people that had surgically removed organs in their
Mhm.
60s and 70s. They had them removed previous in younger times. And he was putting them in hypnosis and regrowing these organs. And the first time I heard a recording, I don't speak Russian. I
Mhm.
understood every word the man said.
Okay.
I don't speak
Okay.
Russian.
Okay. And I'm a
That's how
hypnotist.
I learned to regrow my fingers. So am I.
Okay, but this is the first time that's why I'm like going. I was about to ask you. I go, you mentioned in your bio that you had regrown 2 fingers, which I was thinking, where, how
No,
did he get
five.
to this? Okay. Oh,
Five
sorry,
fingers.
5. But even
Yes.
without that, I had never heard of. I mean, I've heard of
And I've
gnosis.
healed my back.
Okay.
I've healed my back. I healed my
Hmm.
ankle. I have,
Okay.
there's so many things in my body that I
Sure.
have literally healed. I healed diabetes. I healed rheumatoid arthritis. I healed, well, right now I'm clearing COPD out of my lungs.
Okay. All right.
I've got less than a half an inch of fluid in my lungs now.
Okay. So this is something that after. Okay, so you came across this. He must have made sense to you, or obviously because
Well,
whatever you learned from him
I was
works.
deep diving into hypnotism. First, I run
Hmm.
across Dolores Cannon,
Yes.
and everybody runs across Dolores Cannon. Okay,
Yes.
if you don't
Yes.
run across Dolores Cannon and you're studying hypnotism, then you're going in the wrong direction.
Yeah, I know. I know. Yeah. Yeah. And she wrote a lot of books also. So.
Yes. Well, it's like you read the stories of Yeshua or Jesus healing people
Hmm.
from death.
Right.
How did he do that? Well, he studied in Tibet. He studied in India.
Right.
He was a master at the crafts, the hidden esoteric schools of Thoth the Atlantean.
Okay.
And most don't understand who Thoth is. And that goes back before Egypt when it was Kim after the big flood.
Right.
All of these
Exactly.
secret societies use education from the mystery schools.
Sure.
They literally, the priests of the mystery schools are the ones that taught these secret societies.
Right. Hey,
But
you
they're not
guys, cut it out.
complete. They're
Well,
not complete.
what this is the thing, and you know that now they're finding that a lot of these archaeological digs, even though especially the ones in Egypt, they're much older than what they've been saying for years and years. You know, they're coming around to finally having to admit that many of these civilizations,
Oh,
Egyptians and
yes.
even other ones, are much, much older. They're
Oh, yes.
finding because, and all of a sudden it's like,
Well,
yeah, you
you got to
guys,
figure the Romans destroyed the Alexandria library.
right?
What did the information?
Oh,
It's in the basement of the Vatican.
you think so?
I bet money on it. As much as I travel out of my body, I'll
Hmm.
guarantee it.
I
Because
know
this
that
is the thing
they.
about this vessel.
Hmm.
You leave it more often than you think you do.
Okay. Um, well, what do you then practice? What, astral projection or out of body? You know.
That's what, people give it labels, but I just
Hmm.
call it being able to, at will, sit
Okay.
down, relax the body, relax the mind, and shake it off.
Okay. All right.
And I can travel through the planes, through the dimensions in arcs. In arcs. You never go in a straight line. You will bring a hell upon you you don't want to bring upon you. Always travel in an arc. Anywhere you
Okay.
go. If you get to where you can deal with the gnomes and the little people, they'll take you in the underground tunnels. And the only places they can't go are the places with light that cast no shadows. Do you know what light casts no shadows? Ultraviolet.
Interesting. I was thinking, okay, everything I can think of is you at least even if you're by yourself, even you are going to cast a shadow. So ultraviolet, interesting.
This is why those creatures you were talking about, where your chickens just disappear, they
Yes.
can't travel where that light is. It's ultraviolet.
Okay.
It
Now,
casts
and
no shadows.
so what are you telling me is getting my chickens? Are you telling me they're what is it? Because
It's a
putting out
cryptid. It's a
okay.
cryptid. In Florida, they call them, what do they call, skunk apes? But they're
Yeah.
not. They're interdimensional. Then they pop in trees and they pop out of trees somewhere else. They're able to use the mycelial network to travel.
So basically this
People
is
say they hear
why
them knocking on wood. People
yeah,
say they
right.
hear them knocking on wood. Okay, they're not. That's
Okay.
where they're popping out of a tree.
Aha. So let me ask something. What is that? Like pockets between dimensions or portals or what is it that we're talking about here?
It depends on the ability of the one using it. But there's a lot of
Okay.
things that use the mycelial network to travel with. It is one of the intelligence on the planet.
Is this like little
And
wormholes kind of like
no, this is the electric current that's around a root on every living plant. It's called mycelium.
okay.
It's an
Let me tell the
electric
reason why
current that
I'm
tells that
saying is
root.
I have like 500-year-old oaks on my property.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if they have a lot of mycelium. I bet they
Yes,
do,
there's
right?
an electric current running through those trees. You can go
Uh-huh.
out there with an electrical probe in the right places and get current, measurable
Okay.
electrical current out of those trees.
Okay.
There was an
Interesting.
electrician out of Tennessee that worked with
Uh-huh.
Tesla, and he made what was called a ground generator. And he
All
would
right.
bury this twin wire on a spool separated by silk in buckets of water in the roots of the old oak trees. And he
Okay.
could literally keep his house at 74 degrees with two metal plates on opposite sides of the house, and one ceramic light bulb would light up the whole mountainside
Wha
from the roots of oak trees.
that is wow. You're blowing my mind
I
here.
read too much.
No, there's no
I
such
read too
thing.
much.
Nah. You're talking to a fellow reader. There's no such thing. Always the student. Always the student. Um,
So,
I now you've got me this thing. I pretty soon I'm going to go out there with my dowsing rods over to my 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 oak. Sorry, I
well, if
gotta.
you want to play with your dowsing rods, go to a
Uh-huh.
moving stream, okay, and ask your
Okay.
body to show
Uh,
you which
all right.
direction the
All
warm
right.
current is flowing. Every stream has water moving down, which is a positive charge. And
Okay.
every stream, everything that moves water also has a current moving back up the stream that is a
Okay.
negative charge.
Okay.
On 10 feet, 10 to 15 feet either side of moving water, you'll run into the electrical current,
The only thing I got
whether
on
it's
my
underground or
property
on surface.
is I got 3 wells, but I don't have any like streams or creeks or anything like that. I mean, I got a lake, but
Well, if
it's
you got
maybe
three wells, if you got
mhm.
3 wells, you have moving water under your property. Do you
Yes, I do.
find yourself getting what is it, out of balance, your polarity crossing? That means you've crossed the boundary of one of those underground streams.
Hmm.
Anytime your physical body moves across moving water, your polarity
Okay.
changes. This is how you can be
Interesting.
just perfectly fine, and then all of a sudden, you're off. One step,
Okay.
you're off because your polarity changed of the moving water. And people don't understand that.
That's interesting. Very interesting as far as I gotta think about that. Because see, this is the thing. One
It'll
thing is
mess up your sense of direction. It will mess up everything because your polarity is not normal. Like where you're
mhm,
sitting right now is your most comfortable place. Your polarity is correct. And once
right.
you step across this moving stream, your polarity
Hmm.
changes. So it's even the reason people forget why they're going into a room. I came in here
Oh
for
yeah,
something. No, you
sure.
moved across moving water, whether it was in a pipe or whatever. You just went over a moving water.
I think that happens. Yeah, and that's
Your
happened to me.
polarity changed.
Absolutely. Absolutely, that I'll do. And I chalk it up to trying to multitask. Like I'm trying to do too many things, and then all of a sudden I'm like, all right, wait a minute, I just forgot what I came
No,
in here for. Exactly what you described.
no,
That's
you just walked across water. It
yeah.
may be underneath the foundation of your house. It may be
Sure.
deeper than that. You
Okay.
just moved across moving water. So therefore your polarity changed. And kind of in a way it's a good thing because it wipes your memory temporarily.
It's- I have a pretty good memory, but yeah, I know what you mean. There's times that all of a sudden I'll be like, shoot, I know that. But again, I chalk it up to multitasking, trying to think of too many things at once. So, but yeah, I have a pretty good memory. So okay, so
Good luck with that.
thank you.
You can only think of one thing at a time.
I
You're
know.
just you're literally just bouncing from one to the other.
No,
You're not
I'm
focused on one. You don't maintain focus on the one thing.
no, you know what the problem is? I'm
And
really,
living
really
around
good at
moving
food.
water,
Wow. But how do you avoid that?
when you're
There's
moving around that water, there's no avoiding it.
that was gonna
You just
say,
stop. You literally stop. You stop
uh-huh.
where you're at, take one step
Okay.
back, breathe
Okay.
deep, and move out on the left foot.
On
That's
the
called
left
step
foot.
back into remembering. You step back,
Okay.
you step back, and you
Okay.
breathe, and you get present right there. And then take
Okay.
your left foot and step forward and go forward, and everything that you were thinking will come right back to you.
Okay. You better believe I'm gonna try that. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And knock your
So
socks off. I can do that and ingest
now
information out of whole books.
let me tell
I
no,
can hold
it's
a
like
book in my hands like this, hold a book in
mhm.
my hand, the cover on my right hand, the back of the book in my left hand, step
Okay.
back, breathe, and take only the truth out of that book and throw all the fluff away.
Let me ask you, have you ever had a book
And
that's
with
had no
practice,
tooth?
everyone can. It makes going
Have
to
you
the library very interesting.
I bet it's like, what is he? You remember that Evelyn Wood speed reading course? It's like, and how's he doing that?
Yeah.
Let me, so
Well, it was one of those downloads I got that says you can do this.
and so you tried it. I
It's
take it
like
like, what?
when you get a download, you get a packet of information. It may take you a month to fully process that packet of information.
Okay.
But once you get that process through, then you'll
Mm-hmm.
start using it in bits and pieces. And I've been doing this so long now that packet just immediately starts sorting itself and going to the desired places it needs to store. And I can use
Okay.
it almost immediately.
So do you think you
But I've
ever
been doing
buried
this for a
any?
long time.
Have you ever buried stuff like in your subconscious mind, something that you're not even aware of that you know until a certain moment when you need that
Yeah. And it
information?
pops up and I deal with it. Or
Ah,
if it's
okay.
something that I need immediately, if I need it immediately, I step back and I breathe
Okay. Okay.
and
All
allow
right.
that information to come forward.
Okay. Excellent. Interesting. I'm gonna do that left foot thing for sure. So
It
you
takes
you
practice.
study okay, but no, I'm like everything. It's like, there's people that give up too quick on stuff. When you ask them, they did, oh, I did it a couple of times and I know I'm not good at it. And I'm like, "Oh, of course, you only did it a couple of times. So, um, how
Exactly.
did you, when you, I mean, obviously, but when you say you hypnotized yourself in basically to cure yourself or to erase things from your body, what were you doing? Visualization? How are you doing it? What process were
You
you
have
following?
this part of your brain. Well, you got to figure we're a sum of about 20 alien species. 20 different
Oh,
types of aliens have altered us.
okay.
Not just the Anunnaki, but 20 different types. And inside you, inside every human, there is a thing
Okay.
called a reptile brain.
Yes.
What are reptiles known for?
Regrowth.
Regeneration.
Yeah.
Regeneration.
Yes. Right. The
Every
amphibians
one
and
of
yeah,
us, every one
wow,
of
but
us is capable of the same thing. Every one of us. If you're putting the right minerals in your body and you're staying
Mhm.
hydrated correctly, you're
Okay.
capable of this. It's
So,
turning that on. It's like
and let
turning
me
on your pineal gland, but you're turning on your reptile brain.
right, because you always think of the reptile brain as being the primitive part of your brain. But what you're saying is you're harnessing the regrowth, the
What's just
regeneration part.
uh, that's how your body was formed through the
Sure.
reptile brain. Well,
So
how are
do
you going to
you
reform your body?
okay, no, all right. So let me ask you, when you did this, what did you do? I'm gonna engage this part of my brain. Did you visualize this? Let's say the certain
I,
part of your body that you wanted to regenerate. What was the process
I
for you?
kept talking to my reptile brain,
Okay.
talking to my reptile brain,
Mm-hmm.
talking to the liquids I was drinking, talking
Okay.
to my water, of
Yes.
allowing me to use the primitive part of my brain at will.
Okay. Because, and for Bubba, for the people that are not familiar with Masaru Emoto, and can you explain a little
Yes,
bit
ma'am.
more? Because a lot of people are not familiar with what he did or the experiment that he conducted with water.
Oh, there's so many things he did. It
Right.
showed that your thoughts affect water. Your
Mm-hmm.
thoughts.
Yes.
Your thoughts affect the cosmos.
Okay.
Your
So,
thoughts, all of them, are in a unique frequency for you, unique only to you,
mhm,
and they will do many powerful things. And it takes losing one thing: doubt.
okay.
Understanding that we live in a 3D world, and
All
here we
right.
have this construct of one of the dimensions called time.
All right.
Time. It took 9 months to form your body in a womb that was
Mhm.
perfect for you.
Right.
I'm not in the womb any longer, so I have to replicate those minerals in my body. Best way to do that is Celtic salt. Celtic salt in your water, a quarter to a half
Really?
a teaspoon per day. It's all you need.
How do you drink that? Oh, I don't know.
If you put a
I'm
quarter teaspoon in your water, you never even notice it.
really? I'm
It
thinking
tastes
of
like
salted
mineral
water.
water. Yeah,
Really? It does? Okay. Okay.
no, tastes like mineral water.
Okay.
It tastes like you've been swimming in a lake and get a mouthful of water and taste it.
Mhm.
Everybody
And
has.
well, you know what?
It
Since my
tastes better than
experience mostly
that.
has been with ocean water, and it's like, so, uh,
Yeah, but that's
but
that's condensed salt.
yeah, no, I know.
That's really, really condensed.
Let me ask you, do you would how about do you eat all because you know a lot of people don't realize that the what they sell
I
now
grow
is
all my
regular
own
salt.
food.
Okay.
I grow my own food.
All your
Your food
vegetables.
will structure to your DNA.
Mhm.
Yes. Your
Okay.
food will structure to your DNA if the last thing it sees, the last thing that seed sees before it goes into earth is the saliva from your mouth. It will grow perfect for your physical vessel. It will
You got
formulate its DNA to go with your DNA.
you know what I'm thinking? I've got a bunch of potatoes and onions. I was like, what do you mean I have to lick them or what?
If you're going to plant them, just spit on them and plant them.
Okay. All right. Be like, oh, okay. I'm willing to do it. I've grown some potatoes, but I'm good. I
Hey,
could do that.
I am not an anomaly. I am not crazy. I see the world way different than everybody else does, but I've experienced this life way different than everybody else has.
It sounds
And in
like it.
order to
Yeah.
walk in this information field that I walk in, I had to have these experiences. I'm not anybody's savior but my own.
Let me ask
I'm
you
not
something, Bubba.
anybody's guru but my own.
When you came across these teachings, and it sounds like you've read all these different texts and different philosophies, whatever. When what did you do? Would
Yes,
you experiment with it and say this is true or this is BS
I
or
still
how
do.
okay.
I
All
still
right.
do. I'm playing with something called an etheric antenna.
Okay.
Etheric antenna. And it was used in the late 1700s up to about 1850 when that information was squashed from the world.
And what does that do?
I can grow a cabbage or a lettuce head that you can't put in a wheelbarrow. I'm
Okay.
manipulating the desert weather. I'm the middle of June. I should be mid 90s every day.
Okay.
I've not seen a day above 83 this year. This
Well,
year, I have 90% humidity every morning
okay. Which I take it for
for the
desert is
trees.
okay.
For trees. Yeah, my
Well, how
average humidity here in the desert is like 9%.
I was just gonna say because I live in yeah, I so what is this etheric antenna? What is it or
It's
how do you
called
make it?
electroculture. There's information coming out now. It's called electroculture.
Okay.
Research electroculture.
So if I research electroculture, what's out there is accurate, is what you're telling me.
Most of it is, yes.
Okay.
I haven't found any of it. Most humans like to overcomplicate it. You got to get that in your head.
Of course, because then otherwise, if it was so simple, how can it work?
Well, simple is the best way.
I know, no, I'm just making fun that I know that sometimes simple is the best, but people think, no, it can't be that simple, you know.
Yeah,
So,
it is.
mm,
I'm literally using galvanized pipe with galvanized wire and
mm-hmm.
stainless steel hose clamps, and I'm
Okay.
putting them together, and I'm
All
getting
right.
them 10 feet in the air, and I'm
Okay.
grounding them in the earth to change the
Mm-hmm.
weather. But I'm also increasing the magnetism of the earth so that
Okay.
plants get the proper electricity to use the nutrients.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. You're doing you're altering the weather, and how does that work with the plants though? How does it because when you
Because
ground it,
it's taking this etheric antenna, this etheric energy that's floating all around us, this
mm-hmm.
information that's carried in the water, that's in the air you breathe, every breath.
Okay.
We call it humidity. That's
Okay.
an information field. That is
Really?
the carrier of the frequency of the light spectrum. Water is the best conductor of electricity, even better than gold.
Yes. You're right. You're right.
It's not about being
So
right. That
what
information's out there.
so what happened? Obviously you built it and were you surprised
I've
or
built
did you go in?
several of them.
I was gonna
I've
okay, is
got
it
one, two, three, four, five on my piece of property. Three
mm-hmm.
down by an orchard. The guy shoots anybody that comes close to it, but I wanted to help him anyway.
Okay.
So I went on government land and put up three,
Okay.
and he's encapsulated between mine and those three. And so he's getting massive amounts of fruit, and he
So has
doesn't
he
understand.
I was gonna say, has he thanked you?
No, he doesn't even know what's going on. These people around here are clueless. They just call me crazy,
All right.
unless the killer dogs move in or something crazy like that happens, and I come rid the situation.
You a cleanup guy? Is that what you're saying? Are you the fixer?
Only when necessary.
Okay.
Only when
Okay.
necessary.
All right.
This is what Granny told me when I was a kid.
All right.
Son, it's better to be handy than handsome. Everyone needs a handyman.
You better
No
believe
one
it.
needs a handsome man.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. You're right. She was right. She's absolutely right. Yes. There
So
comes a time when handsome
my
goes
life's
away
mission
and
is to be handy.
yeah. Okay. Yeah. She was
My mission is to be handy.
so here you are. And you were telling me, you mentioned something because we were talking about all the animals you have and that you've got also some unusual creatures you said coming across where you live at. What's out there?
Oh, just the mountain lion.
That's
The
it,
mountain
just the
lion comes
mountain.
and checks on me. Well,
Okay.
there's deer around here and stuff like that because they know if they show up, I'm going to put mineral blocks out. And now that
Okay.
I've got a 35-year-old quad, I can go a lot of places.
Okay.
So
And you told me you
I
used
go
to
and
have a
put mineral
Mustang?
blocks for the deer. If you don't help nature, yes, ma'am. She was given to me because nobody could control her, and she liked me, and she
Ah,
liked to go riding in the mountains.
I
Well, you
see.
got to figure my backyard is a national forest.
Okay.
Literally, my backyard is a national forest.
So, yeah, there's no neighbors up there.
And there are things in that forest the average person, they don't have a clue is there. And it
Like what?
frightens them when they get a
Like
glimpse of it.
like what?
All types of cryptids, all types of cryptids, all types of little people. They're all here with us.
So
All of
this
them are
is
here with us.
more than just
They're,
Sasquatch.
well, that they prefer to be called Sabe. That is their name of choice.
What is
The
that again?
Sabe people.
Sabe?
The Sabe people. Yes.
Okay. Oh, like SABE?
And yes. And the wolf
Oh,
man or dog man, they usually guard interdimensional portals. When a
okay.
portal appears, they are the guards for it.
Okay. So let me
Kind of like
gonna
Anubis.
yes, right. Exactly. The as far as the Egyptians that were the dead. Let me ask you, where
They were
I kn-
guards.
there were guards exactly.
Yeah.
Do where does these interdimensional portals was I know you mentioned that we were like a composite that basically we've had extraterrestrials tweak our the genetics or whatever. Are they still around? Are they
DNA
part of this
for a long time.
but
Yes.
did they tweak and leave us like, oh,
They're part of this transition. Yes.
okay, and
Oh, never left. Never left.
what are their intentions? Because everybody always wants,
They're
you've
still
always had
here.
that debate.
We're the big science experiment. We're the new kids on the block.
Okay.
We have the gifts of 20 different species, but one that they don't have: emotion.
Really?
Emotion.
Okay,
Energy
so
in motion.
and is that what
Everything to them is pragmatic. It's matter of
okay.
fact. There's no emotion,
That's
like
kind of
Mr.
boring.
Spock.
I was gonna say that's kind of boring.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is why we volunteer to come and inhabit a body.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be great, but it
We
could
volunteer. We volunteer to come and inhabit a body. And anyone here right now is either here to help with this transition or
mhm.
here to be in opposition of it.
Do you d because I know I've always heard that debate that yes, that there are more than one type of extraterrestrials, and like you said, some
Yes,
are just observing, and then there's others that are
yes,
hostile towards us, and others that are kind of a
yes.
little bit like so there's all of the above then is what you're saying?
We have more rooting for us than we do
Mhm.
against us.
That's good. That's always good, yeah. Because
Just like,
you always hear that if
we're
they're
all
tech
the same.
well, so let me ask you, do all these reports that you hear about the cattle mutilations and all these things, because to me sometimes
Those
when
are
I hear
our
all these
guys.
I always how many times do you have to mutilate a cow? I mean, this is not such a
Those
complex
are our
creature.
guys.
You think?
Those are our guys.
Why?
Those are the deep state boogers.
But
To
why?
seeing what they can do with this technology they found in these various tombs. I mean, the only reason we went in Iraq is because they found the tomb of Gilgamesh.
Wow.
It wasn't for oil. It wasn't for anything other than they found the tomb of Gilgamesh. And if you don't know
And
who Gilgamesh is,
no,
go
I
get
know
the
who
book,
Gilgamesh.
The Epic of Gilgamesh.
No, I know who Gilgamesh is, but I never thought of it from that point of view as to why they went in there. I mean, I know that it was like
They discovered Gilgamesh's tomb, and they knew that they put his weapons in the tomb
okay.
with him. And once that was found out, The
Mhm.
Secretary of State at that time said, we got to go there, make up whatever's got to happen. And the war machine facilitated it going in and getting that weapon. And we give it a name now called the Rods of God.
So what are you saying? We back engineered whatever was found there?
Yes, yes. Bob Lazar is not lying to anyone.
Right. I've heard of him. Well, do you think then what from Roswell from 1947 that they did what was it just was it just
Yes, they
um
discovered one.
okay.
Actually, they probably shot it down. And they used Wilhelm Reich's technology called the Cloudbuster.
So in other words, it wasn't just a crash, like a regular
No,
crash in other words.
I can tell you this. I can set up my Cloudbuster and focus it out there, and they will come to it to refuel, and some of them it screws with their navigation system. So, and it also plays with energy if you don't know how to handle it properly, will make you
Mhm.
deathly ill.
I could see that. I could see that. Yeah, because we have electricity in our body. So I could see where that could be a
Yes,
problem.
yes. And this thing transfers bad energy into good energy, but it transfers it into moving water.
Okay. So, but these are different. So do you think we have like what's the word I'm looking for? Do you think like that, you hear these things where we have like a either I don't want to say a treaty, but you an understanding with any of these extraterrestrials, or do you think that we don't?
According to the information that I have seen, yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right.
And
So in
you
other
have
words,
Valiant Thor. Look up Valiant Thor.
okay, what
Valiant
is that?
Thor. He came and went to the Pentagon, and he was from Venus, supposedly. But he went to the
Mm-hmm.
Pentagon, would walk through walls, blah, 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 and told them back then to start helping humanity. What you're doing is going to bring the wrath of the Creator on you.
I don't think they listened.
No. And they ain't going to like it. It's the law of cause and effect.
Sure. Of course.
So
Of course.
it's
I mean,
going
but
to happen in wicked ways to some of those. And we will think that it's, how can any human act that way? Well, odds are it's probably not a human dealing out the punishment. It may be
hmm.
wearing a skin suit, but it's probably not a human.
And I hear that quite a lot. I hear that a lot of so-called humans walking around, especially involved in the government,
Cloaked, yes.
are not exactly
Well, not
if
exactly.
either not totally 100% human or not human at all.
Well, you got to figure a higher intelligence being can walk in and take your body over and just push you out of the way,
Okay,
can put you
dokie.
on the back burner.
Like a possession kind of deal.
Well, it's kind of that way, but it's not that way. The evil ones will possess you, and they will make it known because they have this thing to be recognized.
Mm-hmm.
And the ones that are assisting humanity will walk in and kind of guide you out of the way for a moment so they can do what they got to do and go on. I mean, how
Okay.
many of you heard of firemen going into burning buildings and coming out unscathed, saving someone?
Yes.
Odds are there was a walk in, stand there, and just did it. People prefer to call them angels, but
Sure.
not so much.
Let me ask you, do you think that
We're
what's
surrounded. We're surrounded. Each one of us has minimum of 60 energies around us at any given time that are here for your highest and best, and maybe that many more that are not.
wow. Hmm. Interesting. So let me ask you, I'm sure you've heard now what's going on with all these Canadian wildfires. What do you think about that?
Well, you mean the set fires where
Yeah.
they took the ammonium nitrate off the train in California and took them
Oh, you're
to?
going there. Oh, Bubba, you're going
It's
there.
facts. It's facts. Facts is
Okay.
facts.
All right. I didn't want to lead you. I didn't. If anybody, I didn't lead. All I asked them was about the
You don't have to
wildfires. That's
lead
all
me.
I did. I'm just playing
You
with
didn't
you.
have to lead me.
Okay, but you went there, so yeah, that thing about what was it like a couple of months ago that just it just disappeared. It fell off the train. You know,
Yeah, right.
it's incredible. When I
Let me
read that, I
give
was
you
like,
one statement. Let me give you one statement that is undeniably true.
all
There
right,
is no such thing as a coincidence. No such thing as a coincidence. There
okay,
are synchronicities, but
sure.
there's no such thing as a coincidence. And
So
if you've ever seen ammonium nitrate burn, it burns red.
I've never seen that.
I'm
Okay,
glad,
okay.
very glad.
So in other words, you're thinking this is well. I mean, when you look at the map of the way these wildfires is like, come on, what is
And
this?
they all started at the exact same moment, and they
Yeah,
were
that's what I'm
all
saying.
hundreds of miles apart.
Exactly. I'm thinking, yeah, you always think of arsonists, but
You do the
if that,
math.
of course. But
They
because
are.
when I looked at that, I'm thinking arsonist, but I'm thinking, okay, this takes out the logistics to get this done, like you said, so quickly at the same time.
All right. It didn't. They did not even report it missing for 30 days. So they
That's
had
right.
30 days to get the ammonium nitrate into to Canada and
Hmm.
placed with an electronic device that could be activated from one phone signal.
Oh, that's what you can do with that type of chemical then?
One group of text messages. You sent group texts.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh yeah. And radiation from that device sets it off.
Hmm. So what do you think is the
And your
agenda?
body just sucked wind. That means you heard the truth.
Okay. Is that what that means? Okay.
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right. Okay. I sucked wind. Yeah, I sure
Whenever you
did.
hear a profound truth, whenever you
Uh-huh.
hear a profound truth, your body will breathe deeply. You have no control over it.
Oh my. Now see, I'm gonna have to pay attention to that now too. Boy.
Yes,
What do you think that the motivation for that is what they're saying that they want to move people out of into the
into
cities?
cities,
Okay. I think
into
so.
the cities under their microwave surveillance system.
Right. Yes. Of course. Because
Yeah,
everything if you live out in the countryside, forget it. They're out of luck.
yeah. Well, when we first started this conversation weeks ago, I told you I live on the fringes. I don't know if
Mhm.
I'm going to have a signal or not.
Right, I know you told me that.
So
Well,
I made sure today the humidity was heavier than normal so I would have signal.
interesting. Thanks. Thank you. I'm not being facetious. Thank you. And now that I understand a
Yes,
little bit
ma'am.
more. So when let me ask you, have you ever had any I'm gonna ask this. Have you ever had any visitors, any ETs come down in your place? Or you think visit you or anything like that?
I prefer not to say
Okie dokie.
because
That's
we are
okay.
in a public format and I get watched enough. And I'm
Okay.
50 miles from Edwards Air Force Base.
Alrighty then. I get it. I get it. I get it. All right.
I draw
Thank-
enough attention with my frequencies played into water.
Ah,
It's
okay.
very profound when you get a 3,000 gallon tank vibrating at 33 hertz at what shows up.
Okay, so that sounds like you've found out
Oh
kind of.
yes,
All right.
yeah, yes, several times.
Okay.
The biggest thing is water talks to water, no matter the
Hmm.
container. And
Okay.
out here where I'm at, all the water is above ground in tanks from 1,000 gallons to 10,000 gallons. And you get one tank that is 3,000 gallons
Hmm.
vibrating at 33 hertz. And you live so far up the side of a valley and it starts echoing through these valleys. It doesn't take long for 33 hertz to cover many square miles. I can do the
Okay.
same thing with 111 hertz, which is a healing frequency.
Okay. So I don't know when you say what shows up, that's like an open ended like
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Have you ever been surprised by anything that's shown up like that? Wow, I wasn't expecting that.
No, because I never know what I'm expecting. I have no expectations. I do it. Let's see.
Mm, so you,
Expectations bring disappointment.
well, no, not all the time. Sometimes the having, sometimes, well, I think up to a certain point, you expect it whether you acknowledge it or not, or you anticipate like, okay,
I have I have
nothing.
researched enough and done enough
Hmm.
experiments that I know if
Okay,
I do this, this is going to happen.
okay,
This is how I knew that I was going to have the humidity I required for a signal today because I have done this enough. That's called experience.
yes, it is.
And wisdom comes through experience.
And hopefully you take it. Well, in other words, not everybody sometimes uses their experience to gain wisdom. Have you? Do
Well,
you think that like
then
you were saying that they've used or back engineered some of this technology or whatever they've come across wherever?
guaranteed,
Do you think
guaranteed.
that is there is there some place or something that we should not do? Like it's like do not go there. That's not a good idea. Or do you think that might be a
They're going to
problem in the
find
future?
out. They're
That's
going
what I
to
was.
find out.
Well, you know what? Sometimes the problem I have with that is that when you take the rest of everybody over the precipice with you, that's the part I worry about.
Look,
You know?
there's one statement that is true, and it's been true for 5,000 years with the lies.
Hmm.
For a profit, no life matters.
Yeah, you're right. What is that? Follow the money kind of deal.
Yep.
Yep, that'll
For
that'll take.
a profit, no life matters.
That's a that's a horrible thing, but I know it's very
If
accurate.
it wasn't for
Unfortunately.
that, if it wasn't for that, we would already have Royal Rife's device for healing frequencies in
Hmm.
every clinic on every city block all over the world.
Okay.
Royal Rife that discovered this in the 1920s.
And what is it?
He could cure all diseases with a light frequency. He would take a drop of your blood, put it under a um, microscope, and then feed frequencies into it until the disease disappeared. And then he would immerse your body in that frequency.
You're
That
right.
was in
You know how many?
1921.
Who discovered that?
That was like Wilhelm Reich's Oregon accumulator. They were made illegal because you could sit in that box for 10 minutes 3 times a week and cure yourself of all disease. I
You're
know I've
right.
had them come and confiscate 5.
You've had what?
I've had them confiscate 5 Oregon accumulators.
Take them?
They found out that I was putting animals, yes, they found out I was putting animals in there and healing the animals. And the veterinarians didn't like that, so they come and confiscated them with the law.
Oh, y- you know what? I would say veterinarians no, but yes, I've seen some veterinarians that is like, yeah, you're an animal lover, all right,
They're
sure.
just like the medical mafia. They're trained by Rockefeller Medicine.
Yeah,
It's all about
I
the money. That's
yeah,
it.
yes, I know that. I know that. Unfortunately, I've seen that
Reoccurring
firsthand.
customers.
Of course,
Reoccurring customers.
no money in
And I'm
curing
going to
and
give you a
treating, yes.
secret, and everybody that listens to this, I'm going to give you a secret.
Go ahead.
There's a mushroom coffee, and it's made by a company called Four Sigmatic,
Mhm.
and it's called
Okay.
Happy Gut. And they also make a tea, Happy Gut. Introduce it into your diet because once you
Source.
get your gut right, once you
Mhm.
get your gut right and you get
Okay.
hydrated and you stop
Okay.
eating crap, your body will heal itself.
Okay. Four Sigmatic. Happy gut. So let me ask him, do you think then that a lot of these
Yeah,
probiotics are not really going to do anything or what? Or they're just like, because yeah,
nothing,
I want, eh, you know
nothing.
how like what was it? How long back was it? 20 years, 15 years ago that they started with a probiotic and the yogurt and the gut and how your health is in your gut. And I was like, okay. And then,
And
beyond the,
everything has been masked to cover up the truth.
which is,
Mushrooms will do more for you than you can even comprehend. But even Paul Stamets, the mushroom expert, says
hmm
stay away from portobellas.
really why? I like portobellas. Really? What's up with portobellas?
All I can tell you is the mushroom expert that is under I don't know how many government contracts
hmm
says stay away from portobellas.
Okay. I will stay away
And
from portobellas.
just in the word, portabella means
Uh-huh.
portal.
Okay. Oh, no. Wait. No, no,
What is it
stop.
a portal for?
Okay, exactly. That's where. Yeah, exactly. Thanks. For a minute there, I thought it was going to be something like it's not good for your gut. Okay, but no, wait, wait. That's not where I was thinking. The problem with the portobello mushrooms was going to be a portal to.
Where?
Don't leave that.
What?
Fill in the blank empty. What?
I
What?
don't know.
Oh
I don't have a clue where they go.
no, Bubba. What? He's not. What? Okay, no. This guy cannot be saying stay away from
His exact
portobellos.
words. His exact words were, "Stay away from portobellas," and I can't tell you why because I'll be dead in the morning.
Oh my god. Oh jeez. I got see, now I'm gonna have to do a lot of research on this because there's no way. I thought you were gonna tell me no, portobello mushrooms, they do something to your gut, and then you won't digest well and it'll ruin your health. But eh, oh, oh, that's I gotta find out about that. Okay, but in the
Just
meantime, no
saying.
portobello for Marlene. I'll tell you that much right now. No portobellos
Just
for
saying.
Marlene.
You don't. We have no clue. 5,000 years later, we have no clue what is true and what is not true until you experience it for yourself.
Well,
This is what I tell everybody. Say, what are you going to do about Ukraine? What are you going? I'm not going to do anything. It's not in my world. My
I know.
world is right here. When someone
Yes.
calls needing my help, that's part of my world. The rest of it, as far as I can tell, is CGI to keep you in fear, in doubt, and from finding where you need to be.
You know what? You're not the first person that's told me that
Just saying.
CGI thing. That's talked about that CGI deal going
I
on
see
there.
energy. I don't see skin. I
Okay.
don't see human skin. I see energy.
All right.
So I
So,
can tell you where somebody's heart at. And most of this stuff coming through the computer, there's no
mhm,
energy imprint.
okay. All right.
And video doesn't lie. If there's an energy imprint, it's embedded.
Okay.
The energy you put in a conversation, it's embedded. It's always there. Every time it's played, it amplifies.
Right.
CGI doesn't have energy imprints.
So basically you're
It's
talking what they call
generated
deep,
from an AI computer.
which is what they call deep fakes, which is like you
Yes,
said, the origin is not it's well, now with a stupid
it's
chat,
not organic.
it's not organic exactly. Not even the invention of it. Not even
Exactly.
the the thought process or whatever that it took to come up with that.
Exactly.
Wow.
It came from a space bug.
So, and do you think,
Somebody
well, that
somebody ate too many portobellas.
no, you know what? You've really wigged me out with this portobello thing. Do you think
Hey,
now that
you
you
can do
went
what
there,
you want to do,
of
okay?
course I'm going to do, but I'm going to find out. In the meantime, it's like, oh, mushrooms to me was like, oh, that, now that you went there, what do you think about all this conversation going on about AI and what AI can do to us or will do to us? What do you think about that?
If you stand in your power, what can it do to you? If you give
Well,
your power to this device, what can it do to you?
well, you know what? I don't
You
think
have
it's
to
so
spend the
much.
time in front of this device. And if you're ungrounded, Odds are you're
Mhm.
hypnotized anyway. The
Right.
biggest thing everybody should do for themselves is ground their feet in the earth.
Right.
Stick your feet in moving water. You
Mhm.
won't believe at just that little simple act what it will do for you.
My concern
You
with
can go and
AI,
watch these people studying these things and watch your brain light up like a Christmas tree just from putting
mhm,
your bare feet on the earth.
I know.
AI, I don't give it a second thought. It's artificial.
Well, no, no, and let me explain why I asked you about that. It's not the AI so much as in the AI. To me, what concerns me is who will use the AI as a what's the what I'm thinking of. In other
Anybody
words,
that has a nefarious program, they'll
mhm,
use hypnotism, they'll use medicine, they'll use whatever they can get their hands on to do
okay,
their nefarious program.
right,
It'll make no difference.
mhm,
There's good hypnotists and there's hypnotists that take advantage.
sure,
There's good doctors and there's doctors that do it for the money. There's good and
yes,
bad. We live in a world of duality. It's
yes,
on you. It's on you to exercise your discernment and make a heart
mhm,
brain connection, heart brain coherence. Above all else, trust your gut. And if your
okay.
gut is dysfunctional, you can't trust it.
And how do you know when it's functioning?
You feel it?
Okay, all right.
And I insure it with happy gut.
I'm gonna no, for sure. You know, I'm gonna go with a happy gut for sure. I'm gonna find. I'm a tea drinker. That's why I
I
say
don't know
that.
where you live at.
I'm in North
If you have a
Florida.
Sprouts, if you have a Sprouts close to you, they sell it on the shelf.
Okay, I can get
And
a hold of it.
Sprouts may just be a Western thing. I don't know.
Okay,
But you can order it online.
okay, I'll find it. I'll find it. I'll find it for sure. Let me ask you, have you heard anything? Because I have just bought some poppy seeds that I was going to plant for the flowers, but I've heard that they're good. By the way, I'm not talking like anything like drug, you know, bad things. I'm talking about just I've heard that they're like a that as far as let's say for pain relief or stuff like that or an analgesic. Have you ever
Milkweed.
milkweed? Okay.
Milkweed.
All right. Okay.
It's
Yeah,
one of
I'm
the best
gonna
painkillers there is out there.
really. Okay.
You milk the milkweed, you get the milk out of it, and
Mm-hmm.
research that one. It grows wild. You get it established, it's like mullein leaf. You can't kill it.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I've got wow. So so now that I'm telling you, wow, Bubba, a lot of interesting things going on over there. It must never be a dull moment where you're at.
Well, it depends on your perspective.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I
Just
mean,
saying. I'm entertaining myself. And to
okay.
some, that just seems crazy because
Why?
I'm working in harmony with nature.
Well,
I
there's
live
nothing,
in harmony with nature.
and that's a wonderful thing. I don't
That's
see
crazy
why.
to most folks.
Really, why?
I'm in California.
Oh,
Everything in
okay.
California is artificial.
But it sounds like you live out away from civilization, kind of.
Well, I have figured out a long time ago that humanity is not
Hmm.
very humane.
Oh,
So I only go around
even
humanity when I have to.
yeah. What was that saying I've heard of that like liberate me from the good people or something? Yeah, I know. sometimes people saying that they're being so caring is like, oh no, you know. And I mean, I believe in being caring towards other
I
human
mean,
beings,
I get
but
told I'm isolated. I get told I'm isolated, but I'm not isolated. I am not isolated. I
are you not?
interact with people every
Hmm.
day, multiple times a day. I help
Okay,
many people on the phone every day, multiple times a
okay,
day. I help
okay.
people in person every day, multiple times a day. I am
Hmm.
not isolated. I have not cut myself off from people. I've cut myself off from stupidity.
Let me tell you something. That's a tall order there. You know that, right?
It's
And
my
that's
world. I get to create it the way I want it.
I know, but sometimes stupidity.
My buddy went
Oh,
with me today to the grocery store. He
all
went
right.
with me to the grocery store. He's never been to the grocery store. And I had to go to Walmart, of all places.
Oh
And
boy.
he said it was like watching the Red Sea part. He said people just moved out of your way and you never said anything.
Were you
I
giving
said,
them the
yeah,
stink eye? Were you giving them a
no.
hard look, Bubba?
I sat in the parking lot. I sat in the parking lot and I bring
Hmm.
a ball of energy out of my heart up through the
Okay.
top of my head and I blow it up there and blow a
Mhm.
hole in it like a big donut. And
All
then I
right.
bring it down to the earth and encompass that whole city block. And everyone in it is absolutely grounded beyond comprehension. They're absolutely grounded. And then
Hmm.
allow any ungroundedness to dissipate with that energy ball. And
How
I've
long does
had
that
people
usually
literally
last
walk
for?
off and leave their sharpened cuts. I've had them run out of the store.
Why? Why do you think that is? I have a pretty good idea, but I want
They
to hear
can't
what you
deal with
want.
it being grounded.
Yeah, okay. That's
I
what I
have a
thought.
theory. Don't know, but it's a theory.
Hmm.
They can't deal with being grounded.
Okay.
Being grounded is too peaceful.
It's like, right. They need the drama. Yeah, I know exactly
Yes,
what you mean. Yeah.
I cut off their lifeline
So you
by
kind of do.
grounding them in that heartfelt energy. It cuts off their lifeline.
So, any more adventures inside of Walmart while you were there?
I don't know what you said. You broke up.
Oh, okay. Did you have any more adventures once you were inside
Yeah,
of
I go in
Walmart?
and get my cashew milk.
Okay. All right.
I,
Because I know
I do it before
sometimes.
I even go in.
All right.
My cashew milk keeps me from getting depressed when I look at the state of the world.
The cashew milk does it. All right. That's cool. Why not? Oh, well, but it's one of those things that it's like you got to look at everything. I I know what you're saying as far as maybe not wanting to look at certain aspects, especially if you feel like I have no control over that. There's nothing I can do about that. But I'm going to ask you this. If there's something that you really don't have physical control over because it's just beyond your scope, how about consciousness? Don't you think that there's power in our consciousness as far as to affect things or outcomes?
I haven't found anything that's beyond my scope.
Okay.
I haven't found anything beyond my scope
All
because I have
right.
a voice and I have
Mhm.
energies all around me that are here for my highest and best. And there's
Okay.
energies around everyone that is there for their highest and best. And I talk
Mhm.
to those and I
Okay.
speak with my voice into the water we call humidity, that they may find their way in all this mess.
Okay.
And
All
that's
right.
the greatest control that I can give anyone.
All right. That's what I'm talking about. That there's some things that yes, and you could say physically, that is beyond my control. There's absolutely nothing I could do
No,
about it. But but there's other
no.
things. Okay. So
We all have that power. We all have that ability.
yes, I believe we do. Otherwise they wouldn't bother trying to control us so badly. It wouldn't
Yes,
matter.
the power of your voice is phenomenal. You have
Okay.
no clue. The average person has no clue. The average person speaks its own bondage. Have you ever heard the word abracadabra?
Of course.
It's an
Yes.
ancient Aramaic word. It means I create what I speak. We speak self fulfilling prophecy.
Uh, uh, right. Yes. Yes.
No ifs, ands, or buts.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. That's why they say you need to be careful with
If
your
you're talking
words.
about someone else, if you're
Mm-hmm.
talking about someone else, the unconscious part of you does not know that. It only hears you speaking, and it's going to do that. It's going to attract that. It's going to
Yes.
do everything in its power to bring that to you.
Right. Don't I believe that what happens is that you start vibrating at an energy that will either bring it to you or manifest it to where you're at, even if it's because
And
you're
it's
like you
like
said, you're
that
attracting
word
it.
believe. I don't use it.
All right. What do you
I
use
don't use the
instead of?
word believe. Break it down. Be the lie you live.
Okay.
Everything is
Um,
constantly changing. How can I believe anything? I observe. I think.
all right.
I believe absolutely nothing except we're a fractal of the one. And each one of us have our own frequency of that fractal. Every living thing is a fractal of the one. The
Okay. Which
universe
is
experiencing itself, and it's ever expanding.
so do you think what is it that once we're done here, at least temporarily, we go back to what the source, the creator, whatever, or what?
We go back to the one, we go back to the
Hmm.
one, or we finish our parallel lives because we're all
Okay.
living parallel lives in other dimensions. As
You mean
many as
multiple
11.
parallels? Multiple parallels or just two?
Yes,
You, okay.
yes.
With big variations or similar or, similar but with certain.
It depends on what, it depends. It all depends. Everything depends on because believing the lie you live,
Mhm.
being the lie you live, speaking the lie you live, where are you casting yourself to? Every word is a spell. Where are you casting yourself to?
Okay. All right. And do you think that
And that's where it starts playing. And that's where it starts getting really funky.
sure.
That's where the flower of life comes into play.
What is it? When you attract something, it's in other
You're
words, it's
interacting with all of these energies. What am I projecting?
let me ask you, when you've gone, I want to say when you do that astral traveling, whether you, and maybe it's almost sounds similar to like remote viewing kind of deal. Um,
Yes,
have you ever,
it's more
have you,
that than travel.
okay, okay. Um, have you ever come across, if you want, let's call it the astral plane. Everything is out there, good and bad, right? When you go out there into
Yes,
that astral plane.
yes.
Okay.
And if you're going to do it, travel
Hmm.
in an arc. You ever heard of the
Okay.
book of the Emerald Tablets?
Yes.
Okay, the best written one is The Compendium of the Emerald Tablets by Billy Carson.
Okay.
Buy the book, read the book, read the book a
Right.
100 times. It will
Okay.
change you every time you read it. Listen to the advice that's given to you,
Okay.
implement it in your life. You will change drastically from the first time you read it.
Okay. All right. I wrote that down.
Thoth's father was Inky. Inky was the geneticist that started monkeying with our DNA first.
Okay.
First. And he gave us qualities of those beings. But you have to unlock those qualities. And the emerald tablets give you the keys to unlock those qualities.
So, well, that's what I was going to ask you. They tweaked with us because we have potential,
They needed
because,
slaves. They
ah,
needed slaves.
okay. All right. And what is it supposed to make us smarter, more docile, just better?
Well, once they gave us a worship gene, it's kind of like it made us decide not to look at ourselves. Once you got
Okay.
that worship gene activated, you're going to worship things that don't deserve your worship. And you see that with everybody worshiping football and baseball and soccer and this and that and cars and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, yeah. And I hate to say, it, but you're right. One thing is to say, "Oh, you know what? I like that car," but I know what you mean. Or and even now, you see it. Even let's say right now with football, even soccer, you hear people like killing each other, beating each other up over which team won. It's like what? You
Yeah.
know, I don't get
And
that.
that is the full blown worship gene on steroids.
Yeah, yeah, yes. To me, it's like I don't know. Maybe it's just my personality, but I've never gotten that. I've never gotten that. I no, no, no. But that let me tell you something, Bob. Wow. This is so interesting. Um you
I'm a walking encyclopedia of useless information until the
doesn't
question is presented.
and then it's not useless anymore? Is that what you're saying or what?
Nope, somebody ask about it.
Ah.
If someone asks about it, it becomes useful. It
Okay,
might
so
help someone on their path of self discovery.
sure. Of course. And that's all that matters, even if it's just one person, right?
Exactly.
Uh, Bubba has absolutely
One
been
is the base
fascinating.
number.
Yes. That's all it starts out with. So let me ask
We
you,
are the
what
one.
we I'm getting back to what you were telling me at the beginning about those pack of feral dogs. What do you think is going to happen with that and this poor lady with her farm and her animals being attacked?
Well, I'm going to take my, um, for the lack of a better term, I'm going to take my medicine stick and
Uh
drag it
huh.
all the way around her farm
Okay.
and put an energetic shield up that they cannot enter any longer.
Interesting.
And with the frequencies that are embedded in this ancient cedar root, they will
Mm-hmm.
not cross that line.
Okay. Okay.
9 different medicine men have put energy in this cedar root, and it came from the largest living cedar forest in the world. And it was gifted to me by an Apache medicine man.
Interesting. How
And
long
9
ago was that?
tribes have put in there, oh,
Is this
96.
okay? That's been a while. All
I don't
right.
travel anywhere without it.
I bet. Yeah. Well,
Never know when I'm going to need it. Someone
let
may
me.
need healing.
You know what? I swear, when you said that, you know what it reminded me of? You know, in the original.
Gandalf,
Oh my God! You took the words right out of my mouth. How did you know I was going to say that? That's
I
exactly
got the
what I was going
connection, and I'm getting the connection, and I'm getting your thoughts as they come in.
to. I swear that's exactly. It was like Gandalf. Yeah, Gandalf the White, by the way, not Gandalf the
Yes,
Brown or the Gray, the White. Gandalf the White. Um,
gray is the most powerful place to be.
why
It's
is
the
that?
separating line between light and dark.
Oh, that's right. You
There's
could look
more
at it that
power in
way.
the gray. You can step across the line either way. There's
Yes.
power in the dark. There's power in the light, but there's more power in the gray because you can both use them both equally.
Yes. Well, people will tell you that in the dark you have absorption of negativity also. It,
It's
it, it
just
depends on the
darkness.
way you want to look at it. It's just darkness. Oh, is it you can't have one without
It's
the
just
other kind of
darkness.
deal?
One speck of light will light up infinite darkness.
Yes. Yes.
And therefore, the gray is a powerful place to be.
The in between place.
Yes,
Bubba has. It has been
There's
wonderful
no
to talk to
judgment
you.
there.
I'm going to call you back because I got to follow up with you and your adventures wherever you're at. I'm telling Let me tell you
The
something.
Adventures of the Dumbass.
I didn't say that, but
That's the
uh
name.
I
Bubba
know.
Dumass.
I know, but I pronounced it differently because I was like, don't assume that that's
Everybody does. I want to be
okay.
polite. No,
Well, of
it says it
course.
right there. It says it right there.
Yeah,
Dumb
until the
ass.
yeah, until you tell you to pronounce it, and then somebody gets all like, gets all upset with
I
you because
can't help
that's
them. I
he's like,
can't
that's not
help
the way
them.
you pronounce my name. It's like Dumas or something like that. So
Hey, you
yeah.
can say it however you want to, but I say
No,
it
I
just
know.
like
I'm
it
just
says.
saying that. No, I just like, but
And if you get offended, that's on you.
no, that's you know what? That's like you said. That's the wisdom that comes with experience.
Yes.
That kind. Yep.
If you get offended, that's on you. Whatever triggered that offense, you need to go look at it under a microscope.
Okay. You know what? How long have you been living out there, Bubba, where you're at
12
right now?
years. Well,
Okay.
I was living in Vegas and they didn't like me winning, so they wouldn't let me play anymore. So I moved out here.
Oh, what happened? The casinos didn't
I
like
could predict. I could predict the next roll of the dice. I could tell you the next number on the roulette wheel, the next card that was coming up.
and what
The
they couldn't
machines
figure it
would tell me
out.
which one was going to jackpot, and they just don't like losing. That big
So you
place
see
ain't
that
built on winners.
you better believe it's not. Otherwise, nah, there wouldn't be much of a Vegas, right?
Yeah, I could be driving down the road and this voice would say, "Stop in here, third machine on the left, put $20 in it. It's going to pay you a royal." Okay. I turn around, go back in that place, and sure enough, then I sat there for 30 minutes waiting on them to pay me.
Yeah. I'm going to recontact you so you could tell me because I have a feeling you have a lifetime of adventures to talk about.
Well, man, life ain't over yet.
Okay, no,
I'm
I
here
didn't
to
say
assist.
that. Okay,
Here's the
all right,
mentality everybody needs to adopt. I'm
what?
here to assist, and
Okay,
you never know what that's going to look like.
so let me ask you, Bubba, is it okay then? Because I know you mentioned people calling you or contacting you. Do you want to put out some contact information as
Right,
far as if people want to
Facebook is
reach you?
all I have.
Okay, so if they want to, they can.
Facebook is the only I have, and everything else is done word of mouth. And I help
Mm-hmm.
people long distances, and they want to pay me. I give it to people that need the money. If I put you
Okay,
in my chair across from me, then yes, you can give me cash. But
okay,
until then, I have a network of people that need the money because they live on fixed incomes and they're helping others. So I
okay.
have it electronically sent to them and they don't know it's me because it never has my name on it. I don't, this is the
Ah,
only electronic device I have.
okay. I know it. I understand. I understand. Okay, so
And
if for
greed doesn't enter my world.
let me tell you something. Greed can complicate your life in so many
Look, I've
bad
been a
ways.
millionaire 4 times and divorced, been a millionaire 4 times and divorced 4 times.
Are you trying to tell me that the money ended your marriages? Is that kind of the deal?
Their lust for the money.
Okay. Well, yeah, that equates
They
to the same.
saw the money. They didn't see the magic.
I see. Okay. All right. I understand.
And a
Bubba,
lot
thank
of
you.
people are that way.
Yes, I know that. There's a lot of people that way. I know that. I understand. I know, unfortunately, you know, we don't realize really that when it comes to
I
being
tell them all,
happy, we can be
they don't
happy with,
worship God, they worship money.
yeah, I know. And let me tell you something. You'll never be happy. That's
Happiness
you'll
is a
never be
choice.
happy. Of course, but some
I've been
people think
homeless
that
and I've been rich. Happiness is a choice.
sure,
The most
sure.
miserable people I know have more money than they know what to do with.
Yes, I know that.
They have not
I've seen
learned
that.
the art of giving. They've learned the art of hoarding.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's like like, okay, you've got the money, and what's the use of having money if you're not happy? I'd rather be happy any day. Don't get me wrong. I'm not. I wouldn't. I have. I think we have needs as far as to take care of our shelter and stuff. But really, I would think the aim of all human beings would be to be happy.
Okay, you want your needs met and taken care of relentlessly, correct?
Well, depends. Relentlessly depends what the need is. Do I like have food to eat every day? Yes. Yeah, stuff
I
like that.
am
Yes.
provided for. Listen
Okay.
carefully.
All right.
I am provided for
All
in
right.
more ways than I'll ever comprehend, up to 25% more, so I can
Hmm.
share.
Good.
Thank you.
So that's
Every
exactly the way.
every word you speak is a spell,
Mhm.
and you're talking to beings that you don't know are there. They will make it happen.
Yes, I know. I know that sometimes people say that stuff like happens to them like out of nowhere, that they're victims of circumstance when in reality they're not.
No, there are there are no coincidences.
Sure, they're not. I totally agree with you. But that's a big responsibility. And a lot of people don't want to shoulder that responsibility about their lives, or what happens or doesn't happen to them. So it's easier the other way around.
It's all
Give
done
away
by the self.
give away your power, because
It's
that
all
way
done
it's
by
not
the self.
so when stuff happens, it's like it wasn't my fault. That kind of deal. It was like beyond
Own up
me.
to your. I tell them all, own up to your shit. You created it. Now you're dealing with the consequences of it. Now the only way to move through that is say, I created it. Now let's uncreate it.
Right. That's good advice. Bubba, it has been absolutely wonderful to talk to you, and I want to wish you good luck. And with you're a very giving, generous person.
Another statement. Another statement. I am the luckiest man on this planet.
All right. And I understand why you say that. I understand why you
You
say
don't
that.
die 6 times and still be here in the same vessel.
Absolutely not. No, you're here. No, I would say you're exactly where you have to be, or should be, or need to be, or whatever. But yes, otherwise, you wouldn't. I take it after 6 times. If you weren't, you wouldn't be here.
It's all a self creating prophecy.
Yes. Yes.
I speak it into existence.
Yes. Take care, Bubba. It has been wonderful to talk to you.
Have fun now.
Bye bye. Yeah. Wow. What an adventure. He's such an interesting guy. I love that. I love people like that. I really do, because it's like they're thinking so out of I don't want to say out of the norm. That's not the right word. They got the way they interpret the world, their world, which, by the way, that saying, your perception is your reality. And that's pretty accurate for everybody. Whether your perception is accurate or not, it's your perception. And he he's got his he understands that very well, as far as how he lives his life, and what he how's what is the word I'm thinking of? What he accepts as real or important. How's that? You know? And I think sometimes that happens to a lot of people, where sometimes we get so scattered that we worry. I'm going to go with a worry thing, or we worry, or we about things that really don't affect us or are beyond our control overall, you know. And I'm going to say a lot of times part of it is watching the media, watching the news, watching the TV. Even, I'm going to give you a perfect example. Nowadays, like every other commercial is a pharmaceutical commercial, right? With this drug, that drug, this drug. And what's really funny is that once upon a time, we didn't have that. In some of these pharma commercials, I've learned of diseases and illness that I had never heard of. Never, ever heard of. And I want to say that even though a lot of these commercials look very, what's the word I'm looking for, innocuous or hopeful or, oh, take this if you're having this, then this, and this problem. But it's like, I want to say sometimes I feel like we're so bombarded with these commercials that basically it's almost like introducing us or pushing disease or illness into our lives. Everybody, some people more than others, but everybody's, might have health problems of different types. But, and I'm not saying, but this thing where we're continuously bombarded, which is, I'll give you an example. There was a time where you remember they would, you had Marlboro Man smoking and they stopped it. Why? Because basically it was pushing the smoking thing. And you could say, well, what, a commercial about a drug that treats a disease or an illness is not the same thing. But I disagree because up to a certain point, we get hammered because when I say, and I'm sure anybody that's watched any type of, whether it's cable or whatever, streaming or whatever, you get bombarded with all these messages of illness and yeah, and we've got this solution. And, you see, it's almost like you see people living lives. It's like, and it makes it sound, and sometimes what's really funny is that it almost makes it seem like there's a bunch of people running around with this illness, and then when you come to find out, it's a very low percentage, and you're like, "Why are you even advertising this?" And I know that what they're trying to do is drive behavior, as in you if you get the hypochondriac, especially, is going to ask their doctor, "Hey, you know what? I saw, and I have the symptoms." It's like, come on, they. I think that a lot of what Bubba was talking about is, and I think I understand that also because, like him, that background with the hypnosis, that I understand how we get um, fed this information on a subconscious level. Because this is the truth is that even, let's say, even when you hear something, a commercial, and you might not, you think, I'm not paying attention to that. I might be doing something else. You are taking it in. You're taking it in on a subconscious level. It's there. In other words, we're running all 24/7. Okay, listening what we hear, what we see, even if we were not paying attention to that. All right. It's going into our subconscious mind. Now, can you imagine when it's continuously, besides the fact that basically, all these different companies, basically they're doing hurrah, hurrah for themselves as far as um, the identity that they have as a company. I'm going to give you another example. All these insurance companies, if you notice, they've all have spokespeople. You have Flow with Progressive and a little Gecko for Geico, and they've all tried to humanize, which is really an insurance company, a company, which, by the way, have wielded a lot of power, but they've tried to humanize themselves, and it's gotten into, and it's, and on at first blush, you almost, a lot of people even like the characters that come about with the advertising that they've put out, which personifies these companies. But that's done and it's introduced into, like, we almost identify that character with the company. And really what's behind that is like, let's take Flo with Progressive. Flo is a character that doesn't exist. She's an actress. Okay. And Flo doesn't own Progressive or works at Progressive or makes decisions at Progressive. All right. But in our minds, because we've been so hammered with it, okay, we identify like, hey, Flo runs Progressive kind of deal, you know, and that's not accurate. And we kind of get hypnotized because we get so hammered. I remember and by the way, I thought it was a fantastic advertising was when, let me see, the one for Geico when they had the cavemen. I love those. I love those skits. Whoever came up with those ideas, they had their thinking cap on because it made us laugh. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, Geico, little gecko or the little, and it was like, man, I love those Geico commercials. But really, what you're taking in is Geico. Yeah, they were disguising it with the caveman stuff, but you were taking in Geico. Geico's great. Geico's wonderful. I think I need insurance. Oh, I call Geico, man. They've got great advertising. That kind of deal. So yeah, we a lot of what he says that as far as what we manifest for ourselves has to come into here, and then also like what he said, what you talk, what you say, you can manifest or you vibrate at a certain level that it basically you attract it. All right. You attract it. Um, especially something that you think about and talk about a lot. Or and let's not even go into the fear part. And it because it's almost and I'm sure you've heard of people like, oh, you're gonna bring it into being, or yeah, you could do that just as well. The flip side of it is also the positive as well. Okay. And I'm gonna give you an example. Sometimes people they want a certain I'm gonna let's go with say they want a certain job or a certain thing, but they're not specific. And you know what? They vibrate at it at wanting or expecting it or whatever. And sometimes things come to you in the ways that you least expect. In other words, what they say the universe delivers because you vibrated at that level. And sometimes it could be you meet somebody, not even somebody you know, that knows somebody that says, hey, I've heard this person needs somebody at this type of job. Would you be interested? Yeah, you're at the right, you've heard of that what he called the synchronicity, right place, right time. The moment is there. You make a connection that you never expected, and there it is. There it is. And, it could work in both ways. Like he said, that great stuff. I like that. So I thought it was super interesting. You got to love people like Bubba. All right. It's like, and he's on his own. And I'm sure there's people that have heard he really didn't expound on it too much, but for some of those, the Japanese scientist that he was talking about, which is Masaru Emoto, there was a documentary kind of deal. What was it? Was it What the Bleep Do You Know or something like that? This came out around the time of The Secret. It was 2007, 2008, 2009. And I think it was in What the Bleep Do You Know, where he had done supposedly an experiment where he had projected or said loving, kind words to water, and the water had been affected. In other words, they did microscopic analysis of the water, something along those lines. But anyway, that in other words, that his experiment was basically like in other words that even something like what we think of as water reacts positively or negatively, like kind words or loving words. Even with water will change its composition versus negativity. That's what he's known for. He already passed away. By the way, I tell everybody, all my chickens lay eggs because I have music playing out there. I have an old that I have hung on a peg because I live out in the sticks, and sometimes I get it's like a 80s 90s kind of radio station bubblegum music. Sometimes that's got better reception. Other times I get a country station, so I switch on and off. Bottom line, it's not like really hard or Metallica. And my chickens love it. And I think that's why they lay a lot of eggs. All right. Because I think everything reacts to music, including chickens. Um, but yeah, it's like that. And I'm sure you've heard of plants. Let's say you play Mozart for them or children, et cetera, et cetera. And what he was talking about as far as the power of your words, the intent, what you say to animals, to plants, to trees, whether it's the words or the expression, the intent of your words makes the difference. So yeah, I believe all of that. I believe all of that. And a lot of people could say, well, can you duplicate it? Can you get that result if you put it in a laboratory? Because there's a lot of people that it's like, oh, if something is subjective, it's not really doesn't prove anything. Unless you can put a model together where I can duplicate this in a lab and find that what you're saying is that, I mean, you can duplicate it more than once, then it doesn't hold water, but I believe that, you know. So anyway, guys, I hope you like this interview with Bubba Dumas. I'll put a link on Facebook. That's He doesn't spell his last name Dumbass. It's Dumass. First name Bubba, Bubba, in Facebook, and I'll put a link in the credits of the show, but also for the podcast listeners. If you want to look up Bubba, go to Facebook and look up Bubba Dumas, Dumass. And I've got a lot of interesting guests coming on. So come back every week and let's see what will be on the table that day. So until then, take care.